We all know, or should know, that there are certain driving habits such as drinking and driving, texting and driving, that can not only destroy our cars but can ruin lives. As a car owner, we know how much we appreciate and love our moving machines, so the last thing we want to do is scratch, bump, and ruin our cars. And oh, so much money we have to fork up to fix our babies, it's not worth it. Here are 7 driving habits that ruin your car that you should try to change and avoid. 7. Hitting potholes and speed bumps at a high speed. It's safe to say that all drivers hate potholes and speed bumps, especially if you're out for a fun evening drive. These buggers can really dampen the mood. But if you just ignore or miss them and slam into a pothole, this can cause serious damage to your tires, even blowing out several if you hit a really bad pothole fast. Not only will this destroy your tires, but speeding into potholes ruins your steering and suspension in the long run. If you live in an area rampant with potholes, where it's difficult to avoid them, drive very slowly and carefully through them for the least amount of damage possible. Same with speed bumps. When speeding over these humps, it not only puts pedestrians in harm's way, but it spoils your suspension and steering, and wrecks your front and rear bumper, especially if you have a low-lying car. Essentially, just drive slowly over the holes and humps to have a good functioning car in the long run. 6. Not stopping when changing from reverse to drive, or vice versa. Besides the obvious control and handling issues of shifting from reverse to drive without completely braking, changing without stopping can take a grave hit on your transmission system, especially if you never stop. There are always times when we're in a hurry, but that extra 10 seconds to stop and shift driving positions won't get you to your dinner any faster. The damage to the transmission caused by this unnecessary bad habit is very difficult to fix once worn down, not to mention very expensive. So those few extra seconds each time to stop can save you a ton of money and stress down the line, so don't be foolishly impatient. 5. Stuffing too much weight into your car. The weight limit of a car, just like the weight limit of an elevator or plane, is there for a reason. It can be frustrating when airlines have weight limits on your bags, and you just want to load up your suitcase with souvenirs you'll likely never use. However, just like planes, overloading your car can have long-term negative effects on your engine, suspension, and tires, not to mention your bank account. The more weight in the trunk of your car strains the brakes and suspension and affects your fuel economy, so you have to spend more money on gas. So please, don't use your car as a storage unit to lug around extra weight. You'll just spend more on fixing the damage than what an actual storage unit would cost. 4. Ignoring your car's warning signals. Even if we try to resist, all our cars, no matter how great the engine and body are, they need to get serviced. And when the check engine light or any other dashboard warning signal turns on, it's not just a fun bright light in the car, so don't ignore it and keep driving. Just like how our bodies warn us when we're in pain and need to see a doctor, our cars do the same. And if you keep driving without any care, your car can break down and need thousands of dollars to repair it. It can be as simple as needing cool water or an oil change, but consult your manual before doing anything. And if you're still confused, go to a mechanic, because it'll save so much money and time to remedy it before being stranded on the side of a road. 3. Hard and sudden braking. It's almost impossible to avoid braking suddenly, because you're bound to come across a moose, buffalo, or kid suddenly crossing the road, and you need to brake hard. In these cases, hopefully rare cases, braking hard suddenly is necessary. But braking hard often damages the brakes and wears down the braking pads, making it harder and slower to brake in the long run, which is certainly something we don't want. So if you're driving in normal traffic, don't constantly speed and brake if you know there's nowhere to go fast. Pay attention to the road and the cars ahead. Drive according to the traffic and slow down, braking easily from a distance. Because if you keep braking hard and fast, in the future you may not be able to brake immediately when you need those brakes the most. 2. Driving with little gas. If you have a newer, sleek electric car, you don't have to worry about driving on a tank low on gas, thankfully. But for most car owners, driving on less than a quarter tank of gas can be very detrimental. Gas acts as a coolant and lubricant in your fuel pump motor, which also cools your engine. So if you continuously drive with very little gas, it can cause your tank to overheat, which can lead to your engine overheating, and that's pretty scary. So whenever you get into your car, Check your gas and make sure the first stop you take is to a gas station if you see your gas levels are very low. 1. Dragging your brakes when going downhill. Dragging the brakes means constantly having your foot on the brakes when going downhill. It seems like the right thing to do so as not to bump into the car ahead of us or speed down the hill, which can be a little frightening. But keeping your foot on the brake is not good practice, and it wears down your brake pads and can overheat your brakes. This will mean your brakes won't work as well down the line, and you'll have to replace your brake pads and discs way more often than is necessary. Instead of constantly braking, keep your foot off the acceleration to slow down the car a little and keep a larger distance from the car in front of you. If you drive a manual, it would also be a good idea to switch to a lower gear when going downhill. You may think, but what if I come too close to the car in front? Do I brake? Of course you should brake. You don't want to have an accident. Just be mindful and smart on when and how you use your brakes. And if you have your driver's license, we sure hope you know how not to crash. Hopefully, now that you know how much damage these bad driving habits can cause, we can work to change our ways and keep us and our cars in perfect condition. This way, whenever you're looking to sell and get a newer, better car, you can get a great deal and have the extra cash for your new beauty.